What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm here to talk about Stitchhead, which I know the name is confusing and it may sound like it's part of that like weird universe of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey movies, and that they've stretched a little bit too far and they haven't gotten a public domain Disney character this time, and there's going to be like copyright infringement. But actually, this is a cute little European animated film that's being released by Briarcliffe Entertainment that I was given an advance copy to screen. And yeah, we're going to talk about it. So Asa Butterfield, he voices Stitchhead here. It's basically the story of Frankenstein. I don't know, like, if they want me to say that. But by the way, it has audio. We're going to talk about the audio. Please stay for audio description. Conversation at the end. We have to talk. But there was audio description for those who are like, he hasn't said it yet. We will get to it. Stitchhead is, I guess, taking the place of sort of like Igor. So you have a professor who keeps creating monsters, and Stitchhead is sort of the assistant slash transitional member into, I can't remember what they call it, like it's sort of like like new life or something like that, and they always, every time he has to say it, he's like trademark pending. But he creates these new creatures and monsters, and then Stitchhead will take them and they go sort of live in this, I guess, castle. There's this other, area where he takes them. There are other creatures and monsters. After we see the first one that's been created, we go through the whole process of like being introduced and introducing this creature to the world. And there's like a little introduction to, making sure not to go outside because you want to stay away from pitchfork mobs. There's a little bit of a lean into that. This is alluding to a lot of things. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's kind of like Frankenstein. And so, but Stitchhead, most of these creatures and monsters can talk to varying degrees because it's a kid's movie. So they all have these sort of like interesting character voices. Stitchhead is a little bit more normal, which is why Asa Butterfield's voicing him. He's not doing anything crazy with his voice. He's kind of just like an adorable young boy who happens to also have been stitched together and brought back to life, like a certain monster we know. So the other thing that comes into play here is that there's this traveling circus entertainment venue with this, ringleader who sings a lot of songs and puts on shows with monsters, with freaks, and reminded me a little bit of like things like Cirque du Freak, and the musical Sideshow, stuff like that. And of course, the story sort of involves, there's a girl that Stitchhead likes and she likes him back, and so that becomes one of the plot points. But also, because there's this show that's being put on with monsters, Stitchhead gets the opportunity to find out that maybe that pitchfork thing isn't true. Maybe they can go outside. Maybe they can live in the real world. Maybe people will love Stitchhead. Maybe he'll be able to sell merch. Or maybe the grass is not so green on the other side, and not all can be trusted in the wondrous land of Oz. Anyway, I don't want to spoil the movie because I want you to see it. I've seen this movie twice, admittedly, because I was offered to screen it. Screener didn't have audio description, so I watched it, and I was sort of on the fence. Two things have happened. So one is I did see it twice, and two, in between the two times, I had the opportunity to see Netflix's The Twits. So one of the things that helped color the change is, while I don't think these are necessarily like Lin-Manuel Miranda bangers that they got here, the songs, the music here is way better. when you listen to the music that's in the twits, it's just like, what is this? Like, I can't remember those songs. I couldn't remember them right after I'd heard them, but like I can actually remember the vibe and the feeling of these songs. And I remembered them going into the second viewing. I remembered that monsters. Yeah, like, I remember they're catchy. So the music here is much better. It's not going to get an Oscar nomination. I wouldn't mind nominating it myself, depending on like what other music. I don't know what. I have no idea what's up for Best Original Song this year, but on like a broader list of things, like it's not that far away from being in the top five. But I mean, obviously we've got K-pop Demon Hunters to consider, but that can only take two spots because of the new rules. You can't be nominated, have more than two nominees in the category. So thanks to Frozen. But yeah, I like the music, and it's a cute plot. It's not like staggeringly original. It doesn't feel like something that's going to transcend and change the course of time, like we have some of these stop motion Leica movies that keep coming back around, like Coraline and Paranorman, that feel a little bit more. It's not that either. It's kind of in that vein though, but since we've had things recently like Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, it's a little bit more creatively gothic, and it's not afraid to say which story it's referencing. I think Stitchhead is cute and clever in many ways, and is certainly not a bad choice for the family, especially around spooky season. If you want to watch something new that you haven't watched before, because Briarcliffe is putting this out in time for Halloween, sure, absolutely. Um, so yeah, it's going to be a fresh score for me. It was, oddly enough, it was sort of in the mid, where I really did actually need the audio description to figure it out because of the gaps and like the lack of not understanding what the monsters are and the design of the film and the circus sequences. So there's so much here that I didn't get because of the audio description. And then I got the audio description. So first of all, I'd like to start off by saying thank you to Briarcliffe for providing audio description for the film, which I don't know whether or not it'll be available broadly or for how long. Like, for example, I know they made audio description for The Apprentice, although good luck finding it. Uh, so they're kind of a newer distributor. They're not a studio. They don't make movies. They distribute movies, and which is why this was acquired from like a European animation house. So it's not DreamWorks, it's not Pixar, it's not gonna be at that same level, but that's fine because everybody last year loved Flow, and that was from Latvia, so we're cool with that. Uh, and but this audio description track was terrible. I don't know who made it. It's possible it was made just for me. I'm hoping it was made just for me. I'm hoping never. No, I'm hoping it's such a. I'm in such a weird place. That's why I held this for the end, because like, okay, so I'm happy I got audio description, and because I'd seen the film once already without audio description, I was less bothered by the fact that this was trampling dialogue and song lyrics. But whoever made this is incompetent at making audio description, and is very new to it, and it shows. Because sort of the basic thing that audio description doesn't do is dialogue. And it trampled dialogue a couple times. It also tramples song lyrics. And I don't just mean like song lyrics, and because there's always this great debate about music theater. It seems like the way that we've gone in the middle is, because songs also tell a story, is that you save it for the repetitive choruses. Like when you hear the chorus, because people are like, well, I want to know about the dancing too. Yeah, but you also want to know what the story of the song is. So you can't have people talking at the same time and coherently be able to, you have to, like, it kind of ruins the experience for either thing, either for the audio description or for the song, to try to be paying attention to a song that's telling you a story while also paying attention to the audio description track that's trying to give you what the images are. So generally we stay out of the verses and we go into the choruses. So like in the sections where they keep repeating monsters, great place to have audio description. But in some of the more storytelling parts, the the verses going into the chorus. I would stay away from verses and bridges. And no, this just like wherever. This just this puts audio description wherever it feels like putting audio description. I didn't hear a company name at the end. I didn't hear a narrator or a writer, which is always troubling. It's like I said, it's possible it was made just for me. It is quality enough and it was mixed well enough that it's possible that this is the real deal and this is being released to theaters, which I don't think is going to make a ton of people happy that are going to watch this. It's as functional audio description goes, which I'm separating this now. So everything is okay if you're at Briarcliffe and you're sitting here going, oh my God, we made him audio description and it helped because I've seen this movie twice. So I saw it once without, so I got a basic grasp of the story and the songs, and I'd heard them all before, and then I watched it again with this audio description track. So the second time I honed in on the audio description track to connect me to the visuals that I was missing. So what the direction of the monsters were, what was happening in the circus sequences, things like that. The little details or stuff that has to do with Stitchhead and his stitches and how that's used throughout the course of the movie. So I just, the second time through, focused more on the audio description, but also I could hear in the background dialogue and singing while the audio description was going. So that's why I said we're gonna get there again. And if it was made for me, if they hired some guy off the internet, I feel really bad because I don't have that kind of reach. So you're not going to get Stuckmanized. But I don't know, maybe blind audiences will reach. I'm still going to review it and still put it on Tomatometer, and my audience will reach it. My audience is largely blind, so we're going to get that out there. I don't know what to tell a blind audience to watch it or not, because if this is the audio description track, it's one of the worst I've heard this year that's human. It's not great, and it might have been a rush job. They might not have thought about audio description, so maybe it wasn't quality checked. I can't imagine this was quality checked. Fire the QC man then. I don't know. Somebody here. It's generally never the narrator's fault, because a lot of times the narrator doesn't get to actually see the film. They're just reading the script in there, and so from that point it's assembled and put together, so it becomes sort of like a mixing engineering quality check. And then the writer the first time knew where the beats were and knew how much time was there to put these things. I've heard people explore audio description by speeding it up a little bit and trying to fit, so speeding up the narrator's voice so that things can fit into places so that they don't have to trample. They could have explored that. I'm not a huge fan of that. I think it might have been better than the option here. So that's what I got. But the good news is I like Stitchhead. I was sort of in the middle, but like leaning positive, but also I wasn't really sure after the first one. And when, because it was still under embargo, and then I got another email from the rep saying, "Oh, by the way, we're getting you an audio description track for this." I was like, "Oh, excellent, great. Well, that should help me figure out where this movie is landing." Because again, it had catchy music. I thought it had a cute concept. There were things that I liked about it, but there were also things that, because without audio description, where I was just like, well, I don't know what happened there. I don't know what that was. I don't know what any of the monsters look like. So audio description did close that gap, and it did make the experience better for me. And you might enjoy it. So if you're blind and you want to see this, check it out. Like if you're looking for a new animation for your kids. But I can't endorse the audio description track. I just can't say this is good audio description. I would use this as an example of what not to do. If this is somebody new who's getting out there, if this is somebody who independently produced audio description track, this is why we use companies. Like I could suggest Briarcliffe, reach out to me and I'll suggest a whole bunch of different companies to you, not just the ones I work for, but just like 10 to 12 different companies that would have made competent audio description for you easily off the top of my head, that could have done this. I don't know what this is. So Stitch Head, um, it's fresh. I liked it. It's cute. It it's not gonna win the Oscar, but it's perfectly fine for Halloween and spooky season and all that good stuff. So get your monster on and check out Stitch Head, and maybe with audio description, you know? So anyway, I'm gonna give it a 7.2 out of 10. So we're going fresh on Stitch Head. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.